She was the quiet one, the loyal one, the one who stayed when others would have left. For many years, people saw Jessi Colter as the sweet angel next to the wild outlaw, a kind gospel soul mixed up with a guy who liked to break every rule. But now, at 82, she's telling the real story. In a quiet moment nobody saw coming, Jessi said one sentence that surprised her whole family. "He left something under the floorboards, and I never told anyone." The story she's kept secret for more than 40 years, full of love, pain, and one night that changed it all, is finally coming out. It's not about being famous. It's not about music. It's about what really happened when no one was watching and what Waylon Jennings made her swear never to tell. For the first time, Jessi Colter is ready to break that promise. And by the end of this, the secret she's held so long might change what we all thought about country music's most famous couple. Before Jessi Colter became the woman tied to Waylon Jennings' legend, she was just Miriam Johnson, a preacher's daughter from Phoenix with a smooth, powerful voice. She grew up singing gospel and living tough, playing piano at church and dreaming of songs that could go far beyond those walls. Before Nashville, before Waylon, before all the mess, she was her own person. And for a little while, people noticed her that way. She met Duane Eddy first. Yes, that Duane Eddy, the famous twangy guitar player. They got married young. She went on tour with him, learned how the music world really worked, and finally broke away. By the early 1970s, she took back her own name and style, putting out an album called I'm Jessi Colter that caught everyone's attention in country music. But the light she was making for herself went dim the moment Waylon Jennings walked in. Waylon was already full of charm and trouble. He pulled people in, but he was hurting inside, loved by fans, and totally wild. Jessi saw it all. She saw the pills, the drinking, the quick anger behind his cool outlaw look. But she also saw the real guy underneath, the dreamer, the poet, the scared kid acting tough. And part of her wanted to help him. Their love wasn't fast and fun. It was like a big storm. They argued, they loved hard, they split up, then got back together. He'd vanish for days or even weeks. She'd wait, wondering if he was with someone else or if this time he wouldn't come home. Still, she stayed. Not because she was scared or weak, but because she truly believed her love could beat his problems. In 1975, Jessi had her big hit, I'm Not Lisa, a song about a woman stuck in someone else's shadow. It felt so real because even when people sang her name, she felt invisible in her own life. Waylon was becoming the big star of outlaw country. And Jessi, even with her talent, got seen more as his wife than as her own star. Friends started seeing signs of hurt, mostly emotional, maybe more. Jessi always said no, he never hit her, but there's one thing from 1978 after a show in Houston that no one talked about until now. She wrote about it in her journal in neat, careful writing. He looked right through me like I wasn't even there, like he didn't know who I was. What happened after that, she says, is something she pushed down so far it almost went away. But it didn't. It's still there under the floorboards, and we'll come back to it soon. There were days Waylon couldn't sleep, nights he wouldn't talk. The cocaine wasn't just something he did anymore. It was like a monster on his back, messing with his mind, mixing up smart ideas and crazy thoughts. Jessi would find him walking back and forth at 4 in the morning, eyes red, talking about stuff that didn't make sense, people hiding in walls, music only he heard, secret vans following the bus. He was falling apart, and she was the only one still trying to hold him together. Everyone else saw a tough rebel king, a country legend strutting on stage in leather. But Jessi saw a man scared by bad memories from when he was a kid, by fame he never really wanted, by losing friends, by acting bigger than life every night. Waylon couldn't stop the wild life, and he didn't want to. He kept feeding the mess because it drowned out the hurt. One night in 1981, everything broke. They were in a cheap, quiet motel outside Memphis, away from cameras. Jessi was trying to get him to rest, eat, just calm down so his mind could clear. But he turned on her, not with fists, but with mean, hurtful words. He said things she would never repeat, things that didn't sound like him. She wrote later that it felt like the devil was talking through the mouth of the man she loved. That night she left the room, drove for hours with no place to go, just the road and pain in her heart. When she came back the next morning, Waylon was gone. No note, no stuff packed, just a hole in the bathroom mirror and a small wooden box left on the nightstand. She didn't open it then. She didn't open it for 30 years. But when she finally did, it changed everything. What's inside that box and the words carved on the bottom will come later in this story. But even then, Jessi didn't leave. That's what nobody could understand. Why didn't she go? Why didn't she protect herself? The answer, she says now, is sad. I thought if I left, he would die. And if he died, it would be my fault. She wasn't just a victim or a perfect angel. She was a woman holding on to the hope that love, even when it hurt, could still save someone. But she didn't know how close the edge really was. And one day, it would hurt them both. The early 80s went by in a blur of bright lights, late shows, and quiet prayers Jessi never talked about. From the outside, they looked like country royalty. She stood next to him at awards, SMI. Led for pictures, went on tour when the jobs came. But inside the bus and inside their house, everything was falling apart. The man she married, the one who used to write her sweet notes on his song papers, was slowly getting lost under addiction and fear. Jessi wasn't just carrying her own hurt. She carried his too. Every time he fell down backstage, she held his head. Every time he went missing, she called around to find him. She kept a secret notebook where she wrote down where he went, fake names he used at hotels, lies he told his team. Page after page. It was more like a map of a man who didn't want to be found. And then the hospital trips, the overdoses nobody reported. Shows cancelled and blamed on being tired. In one scary note in her book, Jessi wrote, "He stopped knowing me at night. He'd call me darling like I was just some fan he forgot." Her heart broke over and over, slow and quiet, and she had no one to tell. Waylon's legend was too big, too special. Saying anything bad about it felt wrong. But then came the baby grand piano. It showed up at their house with no note. No card, just old words carved under the lid, to the one who stayed. Jessi didn't know who sent it. Waylon never said anything about it, but she started playing again at night when it was quiet. Old gospel songs, soft lullabies, and little by little, part of her started feeling alive again. That piano became her safe place, the only spot where she could feel like Jessi again, not just the shadow next to a big star. But the more she played, the more old memories came back. One memory, hidden since early in their marriage, started coming up again. It had to do with a night in Tucson. With a letter Waylon made her burn, a secret he said would ruin everything if anyone found out. She thought she forgot it. But the piano remembered, and when that song came back, the truth started humming under her fingers. A truth that would explain the box, the burned letter, and why. All these years later, Jessi Colter can't sleep without lights on. Jessi learned to live in two worlds. One where she smiled and sang for cameras, and another where old memories filled every quiet spot in her house. By the late 80s, Waylon started slowly getting clean from drugs. But the hurts he left didn't go away just because the drugs did. Being sober actually made some things harder. He remembered more now, and so did she. One night he sat next to her at the piano. She was playing soft, humming a gospel song when he reached out and stopped her hands. He didn't talk for a long time. Then he whispered, "Do you remember Tucson?" Jessi's whole body went cold. They hadn't talked about that night in over 20 years. She nodded slowly. Waylon just said, "I never should have made you burn it." What it was, Jessi didn't explain, but that night she wrote in her journal, "There's a reason I stopped singing that year. Something I saw. Something I did." That line never got explained. Not even in her book. But people close to her say she avoided Arizona for years. When friends mentioned it, she'd get quiet and far away, like her mind left. Then in 1992, while cleaning a closet, Jessi found something she thought was gone forever. A cassette tape with just one word written on it, Tombstone. It was in Waylon's writing, and when she played it, her hand shook. His voice was on it, but he wasn't singing. He was talking, confessing, crying, rambling about a choice he made in 1974 that buried more than a name. That tape was never supposed to be heard. But Jessi kept it. She hid it in a safe box with a wooden box from the motel and a photo of Waylon standing outside a church with a man she didn't know. And under the photo, a name written in old ink, "You. Don't forget what we did." Years later, Jessi tried to figure it out. She quietly hired a private investigator to look up the name and the church. What she found took her to a desert graveyard, an unmarked spot, and a secret court paper from 1975 hidden under fake names and red tape. She never told anyone what was in those papers, not the news, not even her closest friends. But in one interview, when someone asked about her heaviest burden, she said, "There's a reason I sing to God more than people now. Some things only heaven can forgive." And with that, their marriage story got darker and quieter. Because whatever happened in Tucson never really stayed there. It followed them. It got into every song she played, every word she wrote, and every long silence. By the early 2000s, Jessi Colter lived a quieter life. To the public, she looked calm, kind in interviews, soft on stage, always careful with her words like someone who'd held too many secrets. But behind the gentle smiles and gospel songs, her world felt colder. Waylon was gone, and with him went the only person who knew the full weight of what they'd hidden. His death in 2002 hit her hard, not loud, but like a slow, heavy train. Not with tears and screams, but with a deep quiet that kept her from playing piano for almost a year. Every room felt empty. Every song sounded like a ghost. People sent flowers, wrote nice words, called her the last woman from the Outlaw days. But none of them knew what she really lost. Because when Waylon died, he didn't just take old memories. He took their promise, a hidden truth, and for the first time in years, Jessi was alone with it. A year later, she got a letter with no return address. Inside was a copy of the hidden photo, the one of Waylon and the stranger outside the church. But this copy had something extra. A second figure in the back, blurry but clearly Jessi. Below it, one typed line, "The truth doesn't stay dead forever." She didn't tell her son. She didn't call police. Instead, she packed a small bag and was gone for 3 days. Nobody knows where. When she came back, she burned all her journals. Every one. Decades of pages turned to ashes in the backyard. Neighbors say she stood quietly over the fire for hours. After that, something in Jessi changed. She started talking in simple stories about God's kindness, forgiveness, and what silence costs. In interviews, when people asked about Waylon's hard times, she'd change the subject. He made peace with God, she'd say. That's all that matters. But her eyes said something else. Eyes that had seen too much and were waiting. Friends saw her start locking the piano room. She left mail unopened for weeks. And once at a song circle in Nashville, she stopped her set suddenly when someone in the crowd shouted, "Play something from Tombstone." Her hands shook all the way off stage. The past wasn't done with her. And as talk grew about an unfinished song Waylon wrote, one that supposedly mentioned the church, the letter, and the deal, Jessi held the last piece of a story that was never meant to come out. And what she did with that piece would surprise everyone soon. The talk got louder every year. It started with quiet chats between old musicians and road guys. Stories about a song Waylon wrote but never put out, a last track only a few people heard. They called it the fifth verse. Some said it was a confession. Others thought it was a warning, but everyone agreed on one thing: Jessi Colter had the tape. People said Waylon recorded it late one night in 1989, alone in his home studio, just his voice and guitar. It never went on any album, and the recording never got listed with the label. Jessi kept it hidden in a fire-safe box away from music people. Only one sound guy said he heard it, and he said it made him feel cold for weeks. The words, he whispered, talked about a preacher's lie, a grave with no name, and a woman who knew too much. That woman was Jessi. In 2010, someone posted a short, rough audio clip online, 20 seconds of what sounded like Waylon humming a tune no one knew. The post got taken down fast, but fans saw it first. Online groups went crazy, videos spread, and suddenly younger country fans asked, what did Jessi Colter know about Waylon Jennings that she never told? Jessi stayed quiet. That changed in 2012 at a small QA in Texas. A young person in the crowd asked straight out, did Waylon ever record a song about Tucson? The room got super quiet. Jessi looked down, hands in her lap, and said almost too soft to hear, he recorded many things he never wanted the world to hear. She didn't say more, but it started everything up again. Reporters came back. Old band friends got asked questions. People searched old tapes. But if the song was real, nobody found it. And that's when Jessi did something surprising. She called a Nashville history guy who finds lost recordings from the Outlaw days. She gave him a sealed envelope and said, release this after I'm gone. Not before. Inside was a letter, a story, and a USB drive. Nobody knows what's on it, but the guy said it's real. When someone asked what it was, he just said, it's not a love story. It's a warning. Whatever Waylon said in that lost song, and whatever Jessi carried quiet all these years, is hidden again, waiting. Because some truths don't die when people do.